Stop what you're doing. If you own biotech growth stocks, more honestly, even if you're just tracking the healthcare sector, you absolutely need to see this. Look, we all know the common fear for retail investors, right? The nightmare scenario of a biotech company burning through mountains of cash for a decade with nothing to show for it. But Tarsus Pharmaceuticals is completely flipping that script. Most companies take years to fundamentally change a standard of care. Tarsus just proved they're doing it in a matter of quarters. Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're breaking down Tarsus's explosive Q1 2026 earnings to uncover a highly repeatable growth engine that could literally redefine massive disease categories and, potentially, your portfolio.
Let's start with a genuinely surprising number, $145.4 million. Their flagship eye drop, XDEMVY, didn't just meet market expectations, it totally shattered them with that Q1 net product sales figure. That is a massive 85% year-over-year jump. To put that into perspective, this single treatment is now tracking toward a peak sales potential of over $2 billion. By the end of this explainer, you're going to know exactly if this explosive growth makes Tarsus a sustainable long-term juggernaut, or if it's just a flash in the pan.
Now, the philosophy behind that massive revenue jump is actually what matters most here. As CEO Bobak Azamian points out, this isn't just about selling a drug. It's about validating a kind of master template for category creation. Think of it like a giant puzzle. Once they proved they could cure Demodex blepharitis, which, by the way, is a super common disease caused by microscopic mites living right on your eyelids, they realized they could take that exact same template and apply it to other massive, unmet medical needs. So here's the roadmap for our analysis today. First, we'll look at the explosive Q1 2026 growth. Second, driving the XDEMVY blockbuster. Third, their strategic commercial expansion. Fourth, the repeatable pipeline playbook. And finally, their financial guidance and outlook. Okay, Section 1, Explosive Q1 2026 Growth, the financial math. Let's get into it. Looking straight at their Q1 filings, you can see that Tarsus isn't relying on speculative hype. Not at all. They've built an incredibly strong financial foundation, riding entirely on XDEMVY's surging momentum. They are flawlessly converting actual patient demand and physician adoption into hard, cold revenue right out of the gate. And the financial leverage they've created here is just incredible. Check this out. Not only did net product sales spike 85% year over year, but look at the net loss. They drastically shrank it from over $25 million down to just $7 million. They are driving high-margin revenue growth that just falls straight to the bottom line, all while keeping gross margins rock solid at 94%. But the real secret to this revenue? It's prescribing depth. Nearly half of their 15,000 target eye care professionals are now prescribing XDEMVY on a weekly basis. That's up 10% from just last quarter. Doctors aren't just sampling this stuff. It has become a standard, recurring part of their weekly practice. Moving on to Section 2, driving the XDEMVY blockbuster, the medical solution. So you might be wondering, how exactly are they convincing so many doctors to adopt this treatment so fast? Well, Tarsus is utilizing a really clear three-step commercial strategy to expand the total market. Step 1 is a highly effective direct-to-consumer campaign. Step 2 is deploying key account leaders in top practices. And Step 3 is expanding clinical evidence. They are actively driving the market forward, not just sitting back and waiting for it to come to them. Let's break down how this actually builds their patient funnel. First, they're getting doctors to universally screen all preoperative cataract patients for this disease. Second, their digital campaign is clearly working. High-value actions on their website jumped 40% quarter over quarter. Third, they're seeing rising retreatment rates that are tracking toward a steady state of 20%. And finally, they are proving clinical links between these eyelid mites and other conditions like styes. This drastically widens the top of the funnel, right? Because doctors now have more reasons to screen and treat every single day. Section 3. Strategic commercial expansion, growing the footprint. We are seeing two parallel expansions happening at once here. Domestically, they're deploying a highly specialized team of about 20 key account leaders by the third quarter of 2026. At the same time, internationally, their partner Grand Pharma just achieved regulatory approval in Greater China, which instantly triggered a $15 million milestone payment straight to Tarsus. So, they're earning upfront cash abroad while doubling down on their sales infrastructure right at home. Now, I really want to emphasize this domestic strategy for a second. These new key account leaders, or KLs, aren't just your standard run-of-the-mill pharmaceutical reps. They are seasoned experts targeted specifically at the largest, highest opportunity medical practices.
Management actually noted that no physician has capped out on prescriptions yet, so this elite team is expected to act as a major catalyst for revenue growth in the back half of the year.
Section 4. The repeatable pipeline playbook, beyond XDMV. Okay, this is where things get really fascinating. Tarsus plans to basically copy and paste their successful category creation launch strategy into entirely new diseases. Beyond XDEMVY, they are advancing TP-04 for ocular rosacea, which affects up to 18 million Americans who currently have 0 FDA-approved treatments, and TP-05, which targets the massive systemic risk of Lyme disease prevention. It's the exact same playbook. Identify a clear root cause, like an eyelid mite or a tick, and completely eradicate it.
This creates a really dense timeline of upcoming value catalysts for investors. The key account leader team fully deploys in Q3 to drive near-term commercial sales. But looking just a bit further ahead to the first half of 2027, we expect top-line data for both the ocular rosacea and Lyme disease phase 2 trials. The market now knows exactly when the next major scientific validations are going to hit.
Let's just pause on that Lyme disease asset TP-05 because it is literally a game changer. They just initiated a 700-participant phase 2 Calliope trial. This is a first-of-its-kind oral on-demand prophylactic. Think about that for a second. Instead of managing the disease after you're sick, this pill is designed to kill ticks before disease transmission ever occurs. It completely shifts the medical paradigm toward on-demand prevention. And their base case strategy involves partnering up for the massive phase 3 trials once they lock in this data.
Finally, Section 5, Financial Guidance and Outlook, Sustaining the Run. Let's pull this all together. Obviously, you can't execute an ambitious pipeline like this without serious capital. And Tarsus is sitting on a highly secure war chest. They reported $388.7 million in cash, cash equivalents, and marketable securities at the end of Q1. They are incredibly well capitalized to fund their commercial expansion and push those critical phase 2 trials right across the finish line. Backed by that cash, management confidently reiterated their massive full-year target. We're talking $670 million to $700 million in XDEMVY net product sales for 2026 alone. They're doing this while planning for an anticipated gross margin of roughly 93%, all while tightly managing their SG&A and R&D expenses. This financial engine is absolutely humming. But the ultimate long-term vision here, it's an absolute juggernaut. Management has reaffirmed their expectation that XDEMVY alone has a peak sales potential exceeding $2 billion. They found a massive, underserved market, built the perfect solution, and are executing the commercial launch flawlessly. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a bold question to think about. If Tarsus created a multi-billion-dollar standard of care in eye health so incredibly efficiently, will this exact same playbook soon conquer the Lyme disease epidemic? The clinical data in 2027 is going to tell the whole story. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive, and definitely keep your eyes on how this playbook unfolds.